meeting for June 24th, 2021. This evening we have with us Lake County Commissioner Kyle Allen. U.S. Congressman Frank Mervan is also supposed to join us. They will provide county and federal updates as it relates to our area and our region. So we're looking forward to hearing from them. I did want to just make sure that I know everyone is not on all social media as it relates to the work on US 12 and 20, which is part of the double tracking initiative with the NICD South Shore Line. We are going to do a mailer soon to get the information out to everyone in terms of that project. Obviously, this is being run by the Indiana Department of Transportation because they manage and maintain US 12 and 20. And as soon as we got information from the council perspective, from the Department of Public Works, we attempted to put that out there. I know folks are very frustrated with all the detours or lack of detours and issues with the signage, but do know that we hear you and are certainly relaying that message to the city's Department of Public Works. It is, I know, very difficult and challenging, but we're hopeful that this project will ultimately be to our benefit. We're going to plan also to have a meeting in a couple weeks to discuss the South Shoreline project, as well as the detours and everything that's going on with that, so that folks have a sense 30, 60, 90 and days and beyond of where that is headed. So it's a good thing, but I know it's a temporary inconvenience in terms of traveling. I'm excited to see that our U.S. Congressman, Mr. Frank Mervan, is on, and I know he's very busy. And if Commissioner Allen doesn't mind, I want to begin with Congressman Mervan. Certainly want to say hello to our Facebook audience, our live audience on Channel 4. And we know we have multiple venues that people view our meetings. If you have any comments or questions, please put those in the chat box. But we will begin now with Congressman Mervan. Thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you very much. I want to thank you, Councilman, for all that you have done, putting us together and making sure that the First District is running as one of the most beautiful parts of my district, as far as the Miller area, Marquette Park, and every asset that you have there. So it's a great honor to be there. I kind of wanted to fill you in on what we have going on. We have talked about the American Rescue Plan and other venues. And so the city of Gary is to receive approximately $83 to $84 million of direct relief. And you will have to have a plan and you will go forward, but that is transformational dollars. And so the dollars aren't what my focal point is. My focal point is the transformational opportunities that will provide the city of Gary. Wherever the administration and the city council comes together to be able to make those investments for our future, for economic development, for demolition, for crime prevention, for quality of life, for parks. These are all things that are extremely important, and for services. Part of the rescue plan with the Biden-Harris administration, their focal point was to make sure that the cities and towns and the counties across the United States would receive dollars that would benefit them. And we have this tremendous once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to work together in a collaborative effort to make sure that those resources are utilized in the city of Gary. A little bit about myself. I'm a freshman member of Congress. We're in my 7th month. Prior to this, I was the North Township trustee. So Congressman Visklowski was the congressman before me. I'm proud to have his support and to be his mentor. But some of the committees that I'm on is education and labor. And I am on the subcommittee for civil rights, and on veteran affairs. I'm the Veteran Affairs Committee, and I also am a chairman of the subcommittee for technology modernization. And I'm also the chairman of the Steel Caucus. The reason why I mentioned that the Steel Caucus, I'm a co-chairman of the Steel Caucus. It's a bipartisan caucus. that there are two co-chairs that are Republicans, Congressman Bost, myself, Connor Lamb, and another individual. And then there are 53 members. And our focus point is to make sure that the steel industry and the steel workers are protected, and we advance the manufacturing of steel, and we protect it from global overcapacity. We protect it from bad actors throughout the world that want to be able to subsidize their steel mills, lower their cost, or have state funded steel that would lower the market cost. And if you lower the market cost, then the steel mills make less and the steel workers make less in our industry. So the reason why I bring up the Steel Caucus is because we wrote a letter to the president making sure that Section 232 was in place, and that's a tariff that protects the American steel industry. Also, as we are talking about the American Jobs Plan or the infrastructure bill, which is a priority of mine in the infrastructure bill, making sure that we replace roads, bridges, waterways, pipes, old pipes for waterways, airports, rail, commuter rail. Those types of investment, first and foremost, put our neighbors and our friends and family to work in Northwest Indiana in the 1st District. Secondly, what we have to focus on is making sure that we have an American, Buy American provision that protects and utilizes the steel industry. So that being said, that's the priority that I have going through these next couple weeks. Today, something I'm very proud of, out of the Veteran Affairs Committee, we passed a piece of legislation that would allow the VA, for medical reasons, to be able to diagnose and identify individuals with toxicity from burn pits. So what has happened during the last war that we are in with Afghanistan over the decade, there were, as we left certain countries, we would burn our supplies. And those toxic fumes, there was exposure. It's very similar to Agent Orange, and Agent Orange took 20 years for a declaration. We moved today to send that bill to the Senate, and the Senate has a sister bill protecting veterans and making sure that we are not waiting 20 years to make sure that they get the diagnosis and the benefits necessary to extend their lives. And that is something very important to me. So every single day we're working on issues to protect veterans, for education and labor. We passed the PRO Act very early on within the tenure that allows unions to collectively bargain. We also passed the George Floyd Policing Act that eliminated chokeholds, revised bad policemen and their records to make sure that those who were breaking the law, there would be a record on a national level. And it also talked about qualified immunity and reversed that. So those pieces of legislations are things that we have passed, and we have to turn them into law. Our priority over the next 5 weeks is making sure that we pass an infrastructure bill. And as I mentioned, the infrastructure bill really isn't about the replacement of the roads and the bridges. It's about putting people to work and creating an environment. On the other side of that, on the education and labor side, we are doing all we can. We passed an apprenticeship act that absolutely put millions of dollars or programming dollars and resources into apprenticeship programs and making sure that there were extra dollars for Black and brown individuals and minorities to have access, and female access to apprenticeship programs. And it's making sure our workforce is prepared and then investing in these types of infrastructure. And then once we do invest in the infrastructure, then we allow businesses to do what they do best and create jobs. So right when I hopped on, I heard you talking about the commuter rail. What I will talk about is the double tracking of the commuter rail. It may be an inconvenience, but what will come towards the end of that is the third largest economy you will have access to within 45 minutes. Not only that, but your property values may increase because of the access to the rail. The beautification and the investment of private dollars coming in, which is called tax-oriented TODs, tax-oriented development, that will come in where private businesses can invest in retail, can invest in not only retail, but also commercial and also residential within 0.75 miles of the area that we're developing with the double tracking. And once you do that, then private businesses will come in and beautify and create the quality of life. We're also talking about and have put in requests to extend the path of the Marquette plan on the bike path. And we're doing and working every day, every single day, to try and find resources for the Gary Police Department. So we are very centric on our district. We're very centric on making sure that we are answering the call and doing the things that are important to our district, focusing on steel, focusing on manufacturing, American manufacturing, focusing on making sure that we're developing a workforce that is equitable and has social equity, and making sure that we're doing that. We also invested in the schools through the American Rescue Plan and the Gary school system combined, between not only, I want to make sure that I have it correctly, I believe it was close to 83 or 84 million dollars for the Gary school system. That also is transformational. And so as the day begins, we have talked about, as a member of Congress, what my job is. My job is to stay connected to my district, and my job is to make sure that we have deliverables back into the community. And over the past 7 months, I believe that we have had deliverables, and we're going to continue on that path. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. And I also will humbly, I look forward to listening to Commissioner Allen and let him have his opportunity, and then we can maybe answer questions after that. But I want to thank Councilman Godwin and being a partner with me from the very beginning. And I'm here to serve, and I'm here. It's a privilege to be a member of Congress. And I humbly want to go forward, making sure that we have deliverables, not only for the first district, not only for the city of Gary, but also for the Miller community.
Well, thank you so much, Congressman Mervan, for that wonderful overview. There's a lot going on. I know we are excited about the American Rescue Plan Act dollars, and we're going to be working very hard in the month of July, especially to concretize that plan and to move it forward within the restrictions and regulations of what we're able to do. And we will likely be relying on your office to help us make sure we stay in compliance with the use of those dollars. I know that I have assigned this to our Ways and Means Committee, which Councilwoman Atkins is the chair of and the vice president of our council. So there will be a lot of discussion on how we can use those dollars in the categories. We know infrastructure, water, sewer, broadband is one big category, but also hazard pay for our essential workers, especially police, fire, general services, and others. So we want to make sure whatever we do is sustainable, and that the benefits can be seen years, decades into the future. And we are obviously hopeful that the infrastructure package will come through so that we can do even more, especially in terms of demolition and creating sites that are shovel ready for development. So I don't think I see any direct questions. I will just ask you, Congressman Mervan, are there any particular things that you would like to see us do to help you, give you a boost in terms of some of the initiatives that you are pushing forward?
Well, I'm going to go back to something that I failed to mention. We also had we're very lucky enough to be able to receive a grant for $3.5 million for the extension of and resurfacing of the airport. I believe that the Gary Airport is one of the assets that we can utilize, especially when it comes to logistics and expansion. I'm kind of partial. I worked at UPS while I was in college unloading trucks. So I get goosebumps every time I drive by the airport and I see that it's being utilized by UPS. I was a Teamster for 3 summers, and why that is exciting to me, because it's a beacon of light of economic development. It's the first step towards what we can do and what we can achieve at the Gary Airport when we invest, and they will come. So your direct question was, what can you do to help benefit us? Councilman, the greatest benefit is to keep having a vision and allow me to use my office as a member of Congress to leverage your vision and to be able to fund that. You know best what's for your community, and I believe that wholeheartedly. I have the vision of making sure that we have economic development, making sure that the steel mills have an environment that they're able to compete in on a global market, and making sure that we are investing in the future workers. And if we do that on a federal level, then I believe it's the local officials that can help drive that vision. So my ask for you is to continue to have a vision and to continue to talk about and to finalize or to put into action those plans with the American Rescue Plan. There is no greater success that we can have is being able to see the fruits of those program dollars and our local tax dollars being put to use, that can create jobs, that can create a quality of life. I know some communities are using it for parks. Anything that we can do to enhance the city of Gary collectively together is something that will benefit all of us.
Absolutely. So we definitely look forward to our continued partnership and getting as much positive things done as possible. Now I want to turn to Commissioner Kyle Allen to hear updates from the county perspective. Commissioner Allen?
Thank you, Councilman Godwin, Congressman Mervan, and all participants and attendees on this call. Well, let me start by saying that the first district comprises Gary, Maryville, Hobart, Lake Station, New Chicago, Hobart Township, Ross Township, and the north end of Crown Point, Indiana. And just to piggyback on the Congressman's presentation, the county as well has received dollars as a result of funding to cities and counties throughout the nation based on the act that was passed by the Biden-Harris administration and passed by the United States Congress. So the Lake County government roughly received between $84 to $90 million. What I believe will be the focus of our investment, assuming that it qualifies and we have the plan, which I know that we will be investment in infrastructure, primarily sewers and bringing people off of septic, primarily in the unincorporated areas of Lake County. So you're probably looking at Center Township, which would be located in Crown Point, and Calumet Township, which comprises Gary. Other things that the county has done recently is we've partnered with the city of Gary through redevelopment and tearing down abandoned structures. As you know, that abandoned structures can be a liability from a quality of life standpoint, from an insurance standpoint, from a property value standpoint, and from a public safety standpoint. And we continue to partner and actively and aggressively pursue joint ventures such as that. And other things that are not directly under the control of the commissioners would be with the Lake County Sheriff's Department, Sheriff Oscar Martinez, partnering with the Gary Police Department in public safety endeavors. As you know, public safety is a quality of life issue. It's an economic development issue, and it's a safety issue. We routinely donate properties for economic development for the taxing units within Lake County. And we have done so in the past primarily with the City of Gary Redevelopment, Gary Housing Authority, and the town of Maryville. So we continue to be and will always be a partner for the cities and towns within Lake County, and to maintain our relationships with our state and federal partners. And I wanted to tell Congressman Mervan congratulations on his first 7 months and what he has done as a freshman congressman. And I look forward to great things from him and cooperation with him going forward. So if there are any questions specific to county government or the district in general, please feel free to ask me.
Well, thank you so much, Lake County Commissioner Allen, who's also a resident of the First District. I always like to shout out our resident, longtime resident. Let me ask you this. I know there's been a lot of talk about the judge selection process and what happened with the state legislation and what the governor's role will be and the commissioner's role will be in determining how vacancies are filled with judges. Can you shed some light on that from your perspective?
Well, initially, we had the previous structure of the I thought that the previous structure was that was in place provided equity and balance for the local judiciary. We had sent down to the governor, and even, well, I shouldn't say me specifically, but the commission sent down a even amount of Republicans, Democrats, men, women, African American, Hispanic Americans. But obviously, there was some dissatisfaction by members of the Indiana state legislature. And the bill that started the process that reconstituted the Lake County Judicial Nominating Commission, I believe it was authored by Representative Ellsworth, who had indicated that there were some concerns about the commission as it was previously constituted, and that he was doing this or addressing this issue at the behest of Governor Eric Holcomb. And to my understanding, the governor contradicted that statement. Needless to say, the Judicial Nominating Commission was reconstituted. And now, instead of sending down 3 names to the governor for consideration, I believe 5 will be sent down. And the governor will have 3 appointments. The Lake County Board of Commissioners will have 3 appointments. And the Chief Justice of the Indiana State Supreme Court will break any tie, assuming that assuming that the Chief Justice decides to be a member. If not, then they may choose any member of the State Supreme Court as the proxy. So at the last meeting, the Board of Commissioners approved 3 appointees: Attorney Alfredo Estrada, Attorney Brandy Darling, and Ambrielle Holmes. So now at this point, the commissioners chose 2 African American females, which are both Gary residents, and we chose Attorney Alfredo Estrada. He's a Lake County resident. I don't know specifically where in Lake County that he lives, but he is a Lake County resident. So I don't know at this point whether or not the governor has filled his appointments at this point, but obviously the commission only works when there is a vacancy. Secondarily, Lake County, St. Joe County, Allen County, and Marion are the only counties in the state out of 92 counties that have a judicial nominating commission. The remaining 88 are elected by the voters of those counties. So as it stands right now, we've appointed our 3 members, and there's also a lawsuit that had been filed to challenge the veracity and the validity of the law, and that is working its way through the legal process.
Well, thanks so much, Commissioner, for that update. And I know that I've talked with both Senator Melton and Representative Hatcher about the equity issues when it comes to the fact that many of these counties where we don't get to elect are heavily Democratic and heavily minority. And
They're more
so there is certainly
diverse. Yes, sir.
right, absolutely. They're a majority minority, very diverse counties, and I think that we really have to look at that in terms of equity in selecting those who will serve in judicial roles. I wanted to also ask you about the ability for the county to assist with demolition. You spoke a little bit on it, I believe, but I know there's a particular spot in the first district where there have been some discussion of doing demolition, and that there's a lot of interest in it. I'm very concerned. I've spoken out a lot to Department of Public Works redevelopment as it relates to Ralph's, the former grocery store at the intersection of Grand and Miller.
Yes,
and
sir.
It looks terrible. So we're definitely on that. But I wanted to just follow up in terms of how we can partner with the county to kind of do a little blight elimination there.
Well, I've made a commitment with redevelopment to assist by providing resources to tear Ralph's down. I have used my discretionary funding to tear down structures all across in the city in various districts, not necessarily the first, but Usually what would be required is either the mayor or the council person or at-large members for that fact would obviously approach me about tearing down the most blighted and probably the most detrimental buildings or structures. And then from that point, we would engage in an interlocal agreement with the Department of Redevelopment. Redevelopment would solicit the quotes, and obviously you want the lowest, most responsive bidder, preferably a Gary business. And once the building has been identified, and we have gone through the process, then they would tear the building down, and then the county would pay the contractor for services rendered. So yes, that is something that we're trying to actively and aggressively address and expedite it, at this time. So it's one of my things that I'm going to try to get done, within this calendar year, so to speak.
Well, we certainly appreciate it. And I think that as much as we can, partnering with the county, with our congressperson and our U.S. senators, and partnering with our state legislators is something that I'm committed to doing more of the balance of this year and into next year, to see how all of our efforts can combine, right? So in terms of how the city uses its ARPA dollars, how the county uses their ARPA dollars, how do we strategically align ourselves in a way that we maximize the resources that we have? So we know the city has severe limitations in terms of our revenue and our expenses. But as much as we can sort of be all on the same page, or at least know what everyone is trying to do, and seeing how, from the federal perspective, the state, the county, and even township government can help to contribute toward those efforts, that's something I'm very committed to. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to ensure when we hear from our congressperson, hear from our county commissioner. We're going to have the township trustee on next month, and we've had state senator and state rep on. And we're going to continue to do that because I think it's so important. Congressman Mervan, did you were kind of leaning up like you wanted to chime in?
I was just adjusting. So, but I can't agree with you more, and I am going to have to leave the Zoom. But I want to thank you for the invitation, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, Councilman, but that type of collaborative synergy is what makes a difference in communities. So I tip my hat to you, and I'm proud to be part of the team that on the federal, state, local, and township side and county that is emphasizing the investments and the future of our community. So I just want to thank you for allowing me to be part of this. I want to thank everyone who's engaged and participating. And if anyone needs anything from our office, you can always call us at 795-1844. When it has anything to do with Social Security or the VA or federal or passports, we are there to serve, and our staff is there to assist you. So please utilize that, and I look forward to being in person here in the near future. And Councilman Godwin, I want to thank you for your contributions, and Commissioner Allen, I want to thank you for everything that you're doing for the county and your vision. And may all of you have a very good night. And I thank you very much.
Thank you, Congressman, and look forward to our continued engagement.
Thank you.
Thank you. I did see one question about Nobel School. I don't want to speak out of turn. I do know that the city and redevelopment are working collaboratively on that project. What I will commit to do is to get the latest update in writing from redevelopment, because I don't want to give misinformation to the public, but I will put that in our next mailer. And let me just say, as we conclude, that if you are not getting the mailers that go out, we're trying to send these out regularly so folks know who to contact when you want something to be demolished or you're concerned about a public safety issue. We have a big government, right? And different people play different roles. And so I want to make sure that you have the information of who you should reach out to, how to contact the council office. One of the things about me, and I'll just be very frank about it, I don't want to just hear your problems. I want to make sure that when you contact the council office and we respond to you, that we have the right people at the table. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. I want to make sure that we're being efficient. So when you have concerns, the best thing to do is to call the council office at 219-881-1315. The council office will take in whatever those issues are. They always fill me in. They send me an email, let me know exactly what the concerns are. And then I always tell the folks in our council office, look, if it's a parks issue, let's get the parks department engaged. If it's a demolition concern, let's get redevelopment engaged. If it's a public safety concern, let's talk to the police chief or the fire chief. So that when we're talking to you, these are the folks who run the day-to-day operations of the city. We're actually having a productive conversation and getting real-time, realistic information about what is possible, what we can do, and then we develop next steps. So that's just, I want to put that out there. And if you're not getting our mailers, please contact the council office to make sure your address is on the list. And we will be doing another mailer in the next couple of weeks with updates on the US 12 and 20 project, looking to have a community meeting on that with Mr. David Schilling, the city engineer, to ensure that people kind of know what's going on and have a sense of the timeline. We know we have a lot of summer activities at the beach that are going on. So we encourage people to be safe, to use the parks that we do have. We had a meeting earlier today with our park director, who is interim while we're searching. The city is searching for a new park superintendent, but they have issued out contracts to a variety of vendors to improve the cutting of the parks. It is a challenge. We have 54 parks, and we don't have the kind of resources in terms of staffing or dollars to handle 54 parks, but we are definitely trying to do our best as a city, and I'm staying on them as a council person to do what they can, but to also be realistic that there are 56 square miles that have to be covered. And as much as all of us would like to see things happen in an instant, and we say, well, I know he must see this like I see it, we do, but there's probably 100 or 200 things that code enforcement, that public works, that general services are trying to get to. But we have to have the resources to do it. So please be patient and look forward to getting more information from us. Our next council meeting will be the first Tuesday in July. We're looking forward to begin to release dates and information about the American Rescue Plan Act meetings that we're going to be holding, where the public can participate and learn about how those dollars can be spent, to offer your input about how you'd like to see those dollars spent. I will just tell you there's a lot of things that we can't do. We can't necessarily pave and do demolition and a lot of the infrastructure things that I know people want to see. But there will be more information forthcoming on those dollars. I think that's all for now. We look forward to our meeting next month. We will have the Calumet Township trustee on, Ms. Kimberly K. Robinson. I want to thank again Congressman Mervan as well as Commissioner Allen for participating this evening. Hope everyone has a very safe and a very good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Appreciate the invite.